Hey guys, all right, next lesson. Lesson 103, fractions equal to 1 and fractions equal to 1/2. So the first things you need to have are you need to have your math notes out, and then you need to have your math book out. Your math book should be open to page 654 and 655. So with this lesson, we have different circles that are cut into different parts. Together, the parts of each circle make up a whole. So we can see that 2/2 is equal to 1. 3/3 is equal to 1. Three different parts. 4/4 is equal to 1. And 5/5 is equal to 1. And it can go on 6/6, 7/7, 8/8, so on and so on. Just like a pizza. When you think about fractions in circles, I always think of a pizza. Well, I can cut it in half. If I have both halves, I still have a whole pizza. So example number 1 is asking you, which of these following fractions is equal to 1? So the fractions they gave us are 1/6, 5/6, 6/6, and 7/6. So when we talk about this, we want to see that the numerator and the denominator are the same and in order to equal to 1. So when our numerator and our denominator are the exact same, it's equal to 1 whole. So down here, it's asking you, what fraction is equal to 1? 1/6, well, my 1 and my 6, they're not the same. My 5 and my 6, 5/6, those are different numbers. Well, look, 6/6, my top number, my numerator, and my bottom number, my denominator, are the same. This is equal to 1 because 7/6 is not equal. 7 is not the same as 6. So our answer is 6/6. 6/6, oops, too big. 6/6 is equal to 1. Okay. Moving on, example number 2. We're going to write a fraction equal to 1 that has a denominator of 7. A fraction equals 1 when the numerator, the top number, and the bottom number have the same. So if the denominator we said has to be 7, that means that the numerator also must be 7. So we have 7/7 is equal to 1. Nice. Okay, now, if the numerator of the fraction is half of the denominator, then the fraction is equal to 1/2. So down here, we have, oh, and mind you that these are all supposed to be colored in up here, but you should also be looking in your book. Okay, so remember that these are all, if you have 5 out of 5 parts, so on. Now down here, we're talking about if we have half, then it's if it's the numerator is half of the denominator, then we have a fraction that's equal to 1/2. Notice that the top number of the fraction is half of the bottom number. Okay, we have 1 part out of 2. We have 2 parts out of 4. We have 3 colored parts out of 6. We have 4 colored parts out of 8. All of these are half. 2 is half of 4. 3 is half of 6. 4 is half of 8. 1 is half of 2. Down here, we also have 5 is half of 10. Even though that 5 and 10 are two big numbers, 5/10 is still equal to 1/2. Just like if you have 50 cents, you have 50 out of 100, and that is half of a dollar. Okay? All right, let's go on to example number 3. So it has A, B, and C. What fraction below is equal to 1/2? So here are your fractions. They're listing 3/7, 6/12, and 5/9. Now letter A is saying what fraction is equal to 1/2. So we're looking for a numerator and denominator that are half of each other. If I take 3 and add 3 again, I don't get 7. So that is not right. Oh, look. If I take 6 and add another 6, I get to 12. 6 is half of 12. 5 plus 5 is not 9, so that is not right. So for letter A, which one is equal to 1/2, we have 6/12 is equal to 1/2. All right. Then it says, which is less than a half? Which one is less than 1/2? Well, we went back and we said that if I take 3 and add 3, I don't get 6. But if I take 5 and I add 5, I don't get 10. But since 3 is less than half of 7, then the fraction is less than 1/2. So 3/7 is our answer. Now, which one is greater than 1/2? We have 5, which is greater than half of 9. So in that case, the one that's bigger than 1/2 is 5/9. Okay? All right. Let's go on. We're down here on example number 4. We're going to compare. So it's giving us a fraction, 3/8 versus 1/2. So if you want, you could, I'm going to scoot this up. Okay. You could draw a diagram to figure this out. I'm going to go ahead and make a circle over here. Right now I'm comparing a half. So I've got a half over here. And then I am trying to get to 8 parts. Now, I could draw this one, and draw this one. Here's half. I got my half, and now I need to split this one into 8 parts. So, cut it into fourths. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I'm going to color in 3 of them. Now I color in 3 of them, and then the other half over here is colored. Which one is going to be bigger? Yeah, for sure, 1/2. I have half of the circle. If I had half the circle on this side, I would have to shade that one in. But 1/2 is bigger than 3/8 because 3 is not half of 8. Okay? All right, moving on. Let's go to example number 5. Now for example number 5, it wants you to round 6 7/10. Sorry, I'm going to fix my camera. You can see the whole page. Example number 5. It says round 6 7/10 to the nearest whole number. So halfway between 6 and 7 is 6.5, right? But I've got a number line, just like in your book. It says between 6 and 7 is 6.5. But we're dealing with the number 6 7/10. So 7 is actually greater than 5, so that's more than our denominator, so it's actually more than 1/2. I would say it's probably right about here. If we wanted to get exactly 1/2, 6 1/2 is still the same as saying 6 5/10. But because we have more than a half, it's going to be just slightly more than our point. So, if we're rounding this number, we're not halfway, we're greater than halfway, so it's closer to the number 7. Okay, back to estimating. Letter 6, or example 6, is saying estimate the perimeter and the area of this rectangle. Now I know I didn't give you a whole lot of room, and I'm sorry, but we're going to take these 2 fractions, okay? I'm going to just make my rectangle over here. Just make it small. We have 7 7/8, because we're going to round, and 4 1/4. Now remember, if we talk about these numbers, we have 7 7/8, and then I'm just going to make this one bigger. 4 1/4. 7 7/8. Let's round that one. Well, 7 is way more than half of 8, so I can round this whole number up to 8, closer to 8 on a number line. Then 4 1/4, 1 is less than half of 4, so I'm going to keep this number out of 4. Now, if I'm going to find the area and the perimeter, let's talk about our formulas, okay? When I find the perimeter, I'm adding up all my sides. So I should have 8 plus 8 plus 4 plus 4. 8 plus 8 is 16. 4 plus 4 is 8, okay? So when we do 16 plus 8, we get 24. Now don't forget our label. When we're talking about just perimeter, we have inches. Now if we're doing area, it is length times width. So I'm going to take 4 times 8. When we take 4 times 8, we get 32. Now area is going to be a different label. Remember, we're doing the length times the width, so we need to square it. So it's actually 32 square inches, or if you wanted to write inches squared with a little 2, that'll work too. All right, turn page. So on the back side of your paper, you have lesson practice. What I want you to do right now is take about 15 to 20 minutes and go ahead and get your lesson practice done for today. It's only, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 of them, sorry. And a lot of them are just naming a fraction that shows 1, which one of these equals 1, rounding to the nearest whole number, things that we have practiced in today's lesson. So if you have any questions whatsoever, please let me know. Once you're done with lesson practice, take a quick snapshot, a picture, and post it to Seesaw in the right lesson. So it should be lesson 103, math lesson 103. Take a picture and upload it to Seesaw. All right, have fun.